The Syrian government and the opposition will hold face-to-face talks in Geneva on Saturday for the first time since the conflict began almost 3 years ago. The announcement was made by the UN Arab League envoy to Syria, Brahimi. So what can we expect from those talks between the two opposing sides in the Syrian conflict? Well, I'd like to speak to Heydemann in Washington, D.C. He's a Syrian affairs analyst at the United States Institute of Peace. Thank you very much for being with us. What can this meeting actually achieve?
Expectations about what is going to happen in Geneva are very, very low, and so far the performance of all of the participants in the talks are living up to those low expectations. The meeting tomorrow will not, in fact, be face-to-face negotiations. What will happen is that the special envoy, Brahimi, will bring the two parties together in the same room. They will not address one another directly. They will listen to proposals that he presents. They will then go away and discuss their response to the proposals. It is possible that that is all that will happen tomorrow. It is also possible that his proposals will lead to further talks. But at this point, there is no expectation that the two parties will actually sit down and engage directly with one another at this meeting, at least not yet.
Prior to these talks, the public spat that both sides have been having has been very out in the open. Who do you think that's aimed at? Do you think it's aimed at the global people who are attending the meeting, or is it the people of Syria?
Well, you know, this has been a very interesting spat, as you called it, because both sides have set out their maximal positions. But I think that if we were to score their performance, surprisingly, it is the regime delegation that has actually not performed all that well. They've been incredibly heavy-handed, incredibly aggressive, and I think they have blundered in the way they presented their case. The opposition came into this meeting out of a very, very fractious debate in Istanbul about whether to attend, and yet when push came to shove, Ahmed Jarba, the president of the opposition coalition, gave a very solid performance. And so I view this as having boosted the credibility and the standing of the opposition. They did not lose just by showing up, and it seems to me that it is the regime delegation that may have some recalibrating to do to regain ground that they lost in the opening sessions of the meeting.
I wanted to ask you about what it's going to take for both these sides to be able to find some sort of common ground, because they both seem so entrenched in their opposition. Is there anywhere that you think there might be a breakthrough of sorts where they will actually start turning this into something positive?
I would not expect a breakthrough. I think what the talks will do is highlight the one critical difference that must be resolved before negotiations can move forward, and that is whether the regime accepts the Geneva.He protocol as the basis for any further talks. U.S. Secretary of State Kerry said there is one reason why the parties gathered in Geneva, and that is to implement the Geneva.He protocol. So far, the regime delegation has rejected that protocol as the basis for talks. Unless and until the parties can agree what it is they're talking about, I think we are very, very far from a breakthrough.
Heydemann, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Always interesting to talk to you.